Welcome to another Todd Tinkers with Tech. I did something really dumb. I was looking to do a low-budget mini ITX build, and I needed to get an ultra-low-budget graphics card for this machine. So I went on ShopGoodWill.com and I saw a GTX 1080 that it didn't really have any info on it in the description, but it looked brand new. It was like in great condition, and I decided to try and go for it. It was an auction, and I won the auction for $63. Add in tax and shipping, and the total came to $82. And I thought I got a pretty decent deal on a an older GPU, but pretty capable, an 8GB MSI Armor GTX 1080. This is what I bought. And I went to test it out, and sure enough, the machine wouldn't boot with this thing in it. So basically I tried it in another machine as well, and it's a totally dead card. And it does look brand new. I mean, there's no dust on this thing. It is a brand new card. But obviously, somebody probably got it. It was DOA, and whoever they bought it from just sent them a new one or what have you. So this is a dead card, and incidentally, the machine that I tested it out on, it actually fried the RAM on the first one that I tried. So that was a whole saga trying to figure out, why that machine wasn't booting anymore. So anyway, long story long. When buying stuff from ShopGoodWill, assume that it doesn't work. Unless it says it's tested and working, assume that it's not going to work. I got bit by this, so I bought an $82 paperweight. But I still need a GPU for this ultra low budget build that I was going to do. So I went on eBay and I found a GTX 1080 Ti that was also an MSI Armor, but had a little bit of an issue. So this is what the eBay seller sent me. Obviously they upgraded to a 4060. Unfortunately, they didn't send me a 4060. That would have been nice. But this is the card that I bought, and it said in the description that it was missing one of the fans. But they did say it was tested working, worked great. They said it didn't overheat, even though it only has one fan. And I tested it out, and sure enough, it does work. But it's only got one fan, and the one fan that it does have is kind of loosey-goosey. So the idea here is that I'm going to transplant the fans from the 1080 that I bought into the 1080 Ti. And as far as I can tell, they're the exact same fans. So I don't foresee having any issues here. I've never done this before, so you're gonna do it the first time with me. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna take the opportunity to repaste the 1080 Ti and replace the fans, and then put it back together and hopefully have a working GPU. So we'll see. Let's get into it. So the first thing I did was unscrew the two fans that were working on the dead 1080. In retrospect, I should have done this a different way. What I should have done was work on taking off the whole fan shroud with the fans attached first. I think that would have been easier because after I unscrewed the fans here, then they're just kind of left dangling there. But I was having trouble getting the fan shroud off. That was a little tricky because the screwdriver I was using was just seemed like it was just going to strip the screws. So what I had to do was go to a slightly larger screwdriver, and that fixed my problems. So at that point I kind of gave up, flipped the card over, and worked on unscrewing the heatsink itself. And as you can see, there's this little paper covered screw, and I thought maybe I could scrape the sticker off. You know, it's basically to show if you've tinkered with your card and then send it back for warranty repair. They'll deny your warranty claim because they'll notice that it's been tinkered with. So I tried to get that off, and the sticker wouldn't come off with the scraper, but the solution was just to shove the screwdriver into the sticker, and then it was the heatsink came off, thankfully. So yay, got the heatsink off. So here you can see the heatsink of the 1080, and you can see it has 3 heat pipes. And other than that, it's not terribly different from the 1080 Ti, as you'll see later. But and you can see that the fan cable was routed in such a way so that I actually couldn't get the fans off. I thought I'd be able to get the fans off at this point, but no, I had to take the whole shroud off to get the fans. So probably what I should have done is just, again, start with the shroud, take that off. So somebody suggested online trying to use a rubber band, shove your screwdriver with the rubber band in between the screw and the screwdriver, and that didn't work. Still couldn't get these shroud screws off for the life of me. So what eventually ended up working is just getting a slightly larger Phillips head bit on a different screwdriver, and that worked. So thankfully I was able to get the screws off without completely stripping them. But it's always something. This stuff is never as easy as you think it'll be. That was a little bit of a pain, but eventually I was able to get the fan shroud off. And there's a view of the top of the heatsink. Surprisingly, the heatsink did have quite a bit of dust in it, and the back of the fans had some pretty good dust in them as well. So this card, the dead card, had been used quite a bit, more than I thought. So that was kind of surprising because it looks super clean on top, but once you started looking at the backside, these things were definitely used, a little bit dirtier. Here's a closer view of the fans themselves. So now it's time to dig into the working 1080 Ti card and remove the heatsink from that. Again, I had the little sticker on there. This time I learned, just shove the screwdriver in and unscrew it. That worked well in this case, thankfully. So here you can see a good view of the underside of the card and the chip that's in there. So I disconnected the fans from their connector, and there you can see the 1080 Ti card. So let's have a look at the 2 different heat sinks together. On the top is the 1080 Ti, and on the bottom is the 1080. You can see that the contact area on the 1080 Ti on top was a lot bigger than the 1080 with only the 3 heat pipes versus the 4 heat pipes of the 1080 Ti. Thankfully, the fan shroud screws came off pretty easily in this case. The larger Phillips head bit really helped, I think. So I popped the shroud off, and you can see how yellow it is on the backside as well. I mean, this thing was being cooked by those fans or something else in whatever computer this thing was installed in, because man, that yellow didn't look great. So in order to get the fans off, you got to kind of bend these little tabs that the card uses to secure the cables. So I just had to stick the screwdriver in there and pry those out, and they came out no problem. Again, here's the back of the shroud, and let's compare the two shrouds together. So on the top is the 1080 and the bottom is the 1080 Ti. Essentially identical. Here you can see that the fan cable connectors are essentially identical, so basically the same thing. So at this point I took the 1080 Ti that I'm going to use, and I hit it with some computer duster because it did have some dust kicked on a little bit. Not too bad, but you know, want to get it cleaned up. So the 1080 Ti cooler cleaned up pretty well. Hit it the best I could with the air cleaner in the backyard, and then I hit it with a soft paintbrush, and that helped get the dust that wouldn't come out with the duster. So cleaned up pretty well. Here's the fans, and you can see the backside of the fans in the sunlight look really disgusting. So again, I hit those with the paintbrush and really went to town getting the dust off of those and cleaning them up nicely. Then after getting the card all cleaned up, it was time to bring it back inside and hit it with some isopropyl alcohol to clean off the old thermal paste, which came off pretty easily. Nice and clean. Then I cleaned off the thermal paste on the heatsink. I checked the thermal pad, the blue pad that was on there, and it seemed nice and good condition. Didn't really seem like it needed to be replaced. So now here's where the video takes a little bit of an unexpected turn.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I was using my phone as a camera, and I had it suspended above my table, and it somehow slipped out of the holder. I think I bumped it, and it landed squarely on the heatsink and broke the camera on my Pixel phone, as you can see here. So at this point I had to basically give up and switch to my little Akaso GoPro clone camera, which not as good as my Pixel. So unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why I haven't done any videos recently, is because the camera on my Pixel is basically dead. So I'd already applied thermal paste. I think I wasn't rolling at that point for some reason, but as you can see, I've got a fresh coat of thermal paste on the chip of the card, and I'm basically reassembling everything on the 1080 Ti and getting it back together. It was a bit easier to reassemble the card. All the screws went back in easily. Much harder to take it apart than to put it back together. So it's really just a matter of reversing the steps, and everything went back smoothly. I'm going to speed this video up significantly, but everything went back together nicely. So once I got everything reassembled, it was time to test it out on my little test bench setup here. And it gave me a little bit of a scare because when I powered on the motherboard, the fans spun up for a second and then they shut off. And I was concerned that, okay, maybe something was wrong, maybe it wasn't recognizing them properly, but it turns out that it recognized them perfectly fine. It was just a matter of the automatic thermal sensors, you know, just sensing that the fans didn't need to be on. So they spun up and then shut themselves off. And if I had waited a while, they would have spun back up. So the card was successfully recognized by the motherboard, so all good there. I went and installed Windows. Ran some tests on it and everything checked out. No issues with thermals, so all good. So successful project. It ended up working out, although I'm bummed that I broke the camera on my phone. Oh well, such as it goes. So thanks a lot for watching, and if you like this kind of content, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. And also, if you have any comments, let me know your thoughts on budget GPUs. What are your favorites? Any good deals going on out there? How are those Intel Arc GPUs? I haven't tried those yet, so let me know your thoughts. And thanks for watching.